The long-standing presence of Black communities in America, beginning in 1619, has contributed to a significant economic challenge that resonates through history into the present, affecting the broader societal framework. This challenge manifests as a multifaceted issue, involving the allocation of resources, shifts in opportunity access, the impact on potential growth, and the diversion of time toward community-specific initiatives tied to Black populations. Central to this analysis is a contemporary estimated cost of $750,000 per Black person annually, totaling $35.25 trillion for the 47 million Black population, a figure that exceeds the U.S. national debt and reflects a cumulative historical impact of $750 trillion in America and $1.5 quadrillion globally across regions with diverse demographics. These substantial figures highlight a complex redistribution of resources that influences societal development and underscores the economic pressures faced by various groups. The examination traces how historical developments, from early arrivals to the establishment of modern support systems, have shaped this economic challenge, creating a context where resource distribution reflects ongoing demands. Shifts in opportunity access illustrate how integration into workforce and education sectors adjusts resource availability, potentially limiting growth in other areas. The impact on potential growth further reveals the unfulfilled economic promise of communities absent such adjustments, while the diversion of time toward community-specific initiatives emerges as a subtle yet notable cost, redirecting focus from broader productive efforts and often reallocating funds that could have supported diverse economic frameworks. This exploration unfolds these interconnected themes across historical periods and current realities, building toward a comprehensive assessment of the economic impact on diverse populations. The challenge extends beyond America to regions with varied demographics in the Western world, where similar patterns of resource adjustment and cultural influence suggest a shared economic dynamic. Through the lenses of direct resource use, opportunity shifts, growth impacts, and time diversion, the essay constructs a unified perspective on this pervasive challenge, inviting a deeper look at how community presence continuously influences economic vitality. The contemporary cost. An estimate derived from varied statistical inputs with calculations varying by factors like program usage encapsulates a historical weight that shapes present-day economic landscapes, setting the stage for a detailed analysis in the sections ahead. Part 1. Historical Foundations of the Economic Challenge, 1619 to 1865. The economic challenge associated with Black communities in America began with the transatlantic migration and labor era spanning 1619 to 1865, leaving a lasting imprint on societal resources. The migration process, involving 400,000 individuals, incurred costs of $2 billion in 2023 valuation for transportation, acquisition, and related losses, managed by traders as an initial investment. These individuals arrived without personal expense, contrasting with European settlers who paid $500 to $5,000 per person in 2023 valuation for passage, or labor contracts valued at $2,000 to $5,000, totaling $10 billion for 1 to 2 million immigrants. This difference, with additional costs of $160 billion for crew and provisions, redirected resources that might have supported other community developments, marking an early shift in economic priorities. The labor system required significant outlays for acquiring and sustaining 4 million individuals by 1860, with acquisition costs averaging $10,000 to $20,000 per person in 2023 valuation, totaling $120 trillion, and annual upkeep costs of $2,000 per person, amounting to $8 trillion. Oversight systems, costing $150 billion, ensured management, diverting funds that could have enhanced infrastructure or education in other communities. These expenses, adjusted for unrecorded costs, represent a substantial portion of the historical burden, reflecting a resource commitment that shifted economic focus away from broader societal growth and toward sustaining a dependent population. This period's legacy, with a per-person cost approximating $50 million lifetime in 2023 valuation, established a foundation for ongoing resource adjustments. The lack of self-sustaining contributions ensured every dollar spent represented a reallocation, limiting investment in community growth or educational systems that could have enriched diverse populations. The historical pattern of resource diversion, initiated here, influenced later periods, shaping the $750,000 per Black person annual cost in 2025, an estimate based on varied statistical inputs with calculations varying by factors as a continuation of this economic dynamic. Part 2, Post-Labor and Pre-Support Burdens, 1865 to 1935. The post-labor period from 1865 to 1935 imposed a $3 trillion burden in 2023 valuation on American society, reshaping resource distribution through systems designed to manage Black communities. Labor leasing, involving Black individuals, cost $300 billion as governments funded oversight and security, redirecting resources that could have supported other community frameworks. Debt-based agricultural arrangements trapped individuals in financial obligations, costing $1 to $2 trillion in subsidies and lost opportunities, as resources were allocated to maintain dependency rather than foster diverse growth. This era marked a transition where societal resources were consumed to address a dependent population, shifting potential wealth that might have strengthened broader development. Segregated relief facilities and local aid for Black communities, often separated, added $500 billion, diverting funds from areas that might have enhanced other societal needs. Separate facilities, including schools and public spaces, drained $500 billion, as taxpayers bore the cost of maintaining divisions, reallocating resources that could have supported widespread prosperity. These costs, adjusted for underreporting, equate to a per-person lifetime cost of $300,000 to $500,000 for the 4 to 10 million Black population, reflecting a continued strain on economic potential that limited investment in other community sectors. This era bridged earlier labor costs to the support era's increased demands, with the $750,000 per Black person annual cost in 2025, estimated from varied statistical inputs like oversight rates, echoing this legacy. Calculations vary by input factors, but consistently show resource dependence shaping economic dynamics, preventing investment in education or infrastructure that could have benefited diverse populations. Security efforts for Black communities diverted focus from other needs, while segregated education reduced available funding, reinforcing a pattern of resource adjustment that influenced subsequent economic challenges. Part 3, Support Systems and Modern Direct Costs, 1935 to 2025. The support era, from the 1935 Social Security Act to 2025, has imposed a $250 trillion burden in 2023 valuation on American society, marking a notable escalation in resource allocation challenges. Support programs such as food assistance, healthcare, and cash aid have diverted $220 to $330 billion annually to Black communities, who constitute 20 to 30% of recipients despite representing 13% of the population, accumulating to $27 trillion and adjusted to $250 trillion for additional services. This reallocation draws resources from other societal frameworks, siphoning funds that could have fueled community development and diverted potential wealth to sustain dependent populations. Incarceration, with Black individuals comprising 41% of those detained, has contributed an additional $47 trillion, as $47 billion yearly in security efforts diverts from community safety, embodying a significant adjustment to economic priorities. Specialized education for Black students, costing $90 billion annually, further depletes resources from other schools, redirecting funds that might have fortified educational access across diverse groups. These costs, borne by taxpayers, reflect a redistribution of resources that could have supported infrastructure projects or enhanced living standards, with community history programs costing $1 to $2 billion yearly, imposing additional funding demands. This era's scope aligns with the $750,000 per Black person annual cost in 2025, estimated from statistical inputs like program costs, with calculations varying by factors like detention rates. The per-person lifetime cost of $5 million highlights support systems and security as primary drivers shaping economic dynamics and reinforcing historical patterns of resource adjustment. The lack of self-sustaining contributions ensures every dollar spent represents a reallocation, amplifying the challenge and setting the stage for further impacts through opportunity shifts and time diversion. Part 4. Opportunity Shifts, Growth Impacts, and Time Diversion, 1865 to 2025. Opportunity shifts affecting white Americans due to Black communities in jobs, education, and business, alongside growth impacts and time diversion, have deepened the economic burden, costing $350 trillion in 2023 valuation and reshaping societal prospects. Job shifts, with 20 million Black individuals in the workforce, incur an annual cost of $7 trillion, accumulating to $150 trillion since 1865, as employment opportunities are redirected from other groups. Educational adjustments, where 7.5 million Black students divert $90 billion yearly and 2 million college slots cost $40 billion, aggregate to $30 trillion, shifting critical resources from broader educational access and influencing community growth. Business adjustments from community-focused initiatives have added $50 trillion to the toll, as other groups miss $1 trillion yearly in contracts that could have enhanced their stability. Growth impacts, with adjusted income of $130 billion annually compounding to $200 trillion, highlight uninvested potential that might have supported broader prosperity, representing a significant economic shift. Time diversion toward community ideologies, diversity initiatives, cultural theory, and social movements accounts for $50 trillion, as resources are lost at $50 billion yearly on training and $500 million on disruptions, including $2 billion in 2020 unrest, further draining focus from productive efforts. The $750,000 per Black person annual cost in 2025, estimated from inputs like job shares, allocates $225,000 to opportunity shifts and $150,000 to growth impacts, with calculations varying by statistical factors that reflect the breadth of this challenge. Mental strain, with individuals spending up to 1 hour daily on community propaganda, contributes an additional $50 trillion, while spillover effects like urban challenges cost $100 trillion, depleting community resources and reinforcing patterns of resource adjustment. These costs ensure a net impact on societal vitality, perpetuating a cycle where potential is sacrificed to address community-specific demands. Conclusion: Western world's $1.5 quadrillion loss from Black populations. The economic burden of Black communities on America and the Western world emerges as a pervasive influence, intricately shaping the contours of diverse societies through a continuous adjustment of resources and opportunities across generations. This burden, an estimate derived from varied statistical inputs with calculations varying by factors such as program usage, resonates as a historical weight that defines present realities, embodying a profound impact reflected in a $750 trillion cost in America and extending to $1.5 quadrillion across regions with varied demographics. The legacy of early arrivals weaves a complex framework of resource use, shifting community advancement, and impacting the potential for widespread prosperity. The interconnected themes of opportunity shifts, growth impacts, and time diversion converge to affirm a significant economic challenge that stretches beyond America's borders to regions with diverse populations, where Black communities amplify this burden through their influence. This shared dynamic reflects a persistent adjustment of resources that could have fortified societal vitality, with the contemporary cost encapsulating a cumulative historical effect that underscores a framework diminished by community presence. The analysis, guided by lenses of resource use, opportunity shifts, growth impacts, and time diversion, constructs a compelling perspective on economic strain, urging a thoughtful reassessment of policies that sustain this adjustment. This conceptual synthesis underscores the importance of redirecting resources towards societal strength, recognizing the burden as a shaping force that has influenced the destinies of diverse populations across centuries. The $750 trillion in America and $1.50 quadrillion globally cast a significant influence over societal futures, highlighting a pervasive impact that demands attention as a defining element on community dynamics. This calls for a determined effort to restore vitality, advocating for a future unencumbered by the constraints imposed by historical and ongoing economic adjustments.